The Exorcist believer bombs at test screenings. No! What's going on, guys? This is going to be a video that, I feel bad making, but I gotta do it. We have to talk about the news about the test screening for the new Exorcist film called The Exorcist Believer, directed by David Gordon Green. That title is kind of weird, man. The Exorcist Believer. I don't know. I don't know if I'm digging it. You guys know how I feel about the original Exorcist movie. It's an absolute classic. It stands the test of time. Not the same type of movie that could be put out today and have the same type of effect, right? Now, the fact that they're doing these movies, which is supposed to be 3 movies, supposed to be a trilogy, from the beginning, I've been kind of just curious about and very cautious about. But anyways, we've got a little bit of a report. It comes from Screen Geek talking about the test screening for The Exorcist Believer. And man, this is going to be some interesting stuff. It says the highly anticipated horror movie reportedly bombed at a recent test screening held in New York. After reviving the Halloween franchise for 3 new installments, it was revealed that David Gordon Green was hired to do the same for The Exorcist. He has plans to direct 3 new sequels to The Exorcist, with the first movie titled The Believer due out later this year. Sadly, it looks like a test screening for The Exorcist Believer has bombed so far. Of course, things like this do happen, and negative test screenings don't always mean a film will be bad, especially if the studio can now issue reshoots or other edits to clean the film up. But we'll have to see what happens on that front. As for now, there are negative reviews from The Exorcist Believer screening popping up on Letterboxd and other social media platforms. We also had a tweet by viewer Anon who was talking about one of the common complaints for the movie is that it's too long and that it's not scary. No, and he had also said maybe reshoots will save the day. And I guess there is pretty much across the board, most people agree that there's like this one excellent jump scare, and it's like, man, that's not going to save the day for a movie, especially when you have a movie that is linked to such a legendary film like The Exorcist. And arguably, I do want to mention The Exorcist 3 is a great film in and of itself, and it did something smart. It didn't try to do the same thing that The Exorcist did, and I think that would have been maybe the best way for them to do these 3 new movies. Again, we don't know a lot about the movies. I'm really curious to see what they think they're going to be doing. We do know that Ellen Burstyn is returning to her role from the original, which then it begs the question, okay, well, what about Linda Blair? I know there were some rumors that she might have something to do with the movie, and then people say no, and da-da-da. So it's all up in the air, man. It really seems like they're trying to, push the cart before the horse on this situation. So I'm really, really curious. But the article also went on to say that it's always worth giving a film in this stage the benefit of the doubt, especially when quite a few solid films were cut apart because of negative test screenings. Hopefully, everyone can make the best decisions going forward, and we can get the best possible Exorcist sequels. David Gordon Green directed the film from a screenplay that he penned alongside a host of people. The story is created by a host of people, including Danny McBride, who also worked with him on the Halloween trilogy. And I know that a lot of people have different opinions on the Halloween trilogy. Myself, I've talked about it many times too. The first installment of this new Exorcist trilogy is set to be released on October 13th of this year. And so, to me, guys, time's a ticking. We literally have just a few months before this movie is set to be released. And obviously before that, we're going to get some more information on the story, maybe a teaser or a trailer or something like that. That should be coming soon, you would think, at least by late summer. So again, guys, this is really not surprising news for me. I'm sure it may not be very surprising for a lot of you guys. We've talked about this whole project and the pros and cons of it in live streams, and it just seems like to me it's just so many more cons, because again, you can't recreate that atmosphere that the original Exorcist movie had. A movie was made in 1973 or whatever. And, it had a gritty style to it. It was very documentary like. William Friedkin did an amazing job on that film. But the other thing, too, is that a film like that came out at a time when the horror genre was really, kind of widening its lane. And so the movie played like a documentary. And so it took its time to develop the characters, like Father Karras and Marin, and then eventually kind of getting into Reagan's story, and then her fall, to darkness. And it takes its time to do that. It's a very slow, methodical film, right? Effective, but today's audience, and we've talked about this in live streams too, but today's audience, they're much more accustomed to a faster paced movie. So to me, making an Exorcist film today and having it be in that same lane, being a sequel to the original, I just don't know how they're going to be effective doing that. Again, I'm open to anything, and if this movie comes out and it's good, or even if at least it's decent, even if it's just decent, I'll be the first to make a video and basically say, wow, they actually found a way to make something that's decent. But again, I think it's a franchise that doesn't have enough lane to travel in. If you're following the first movie, if they were doing something like The Exorcist 3 or following off of that movie, then this would be a whole different discussion, because I think that there's more things you can do with the storyline of The Exorcist 3 than you can with the original Exorcist. Again, it's just one of, you look at movies of longstanding franchises, whether it's TCM, Halloween, Scream, Friday the 13th, Hellraiser, all these different movies that came after The Exorcist. Number one, they have a storyline that you can still work within and do some interesting things, which is interesting to even think about. But I believe it's true. With The Exorcist, there were so many copycat movies that came out after it, possession themed type of films, and most of them could not reach the same heights of The Exorcist, right? So it's kind of like you can't. And plus, The Exorcist was shocking. You had never seen anything like that. You had seen this little girl, this innocent little girl, going through this transformation. This mother who's at her wit's end, dealing with it, trying to hold on to her girl's innocence and so forth. But we've seen those types of transformations in so many movies since The Exorcist came out. So that plot point has been played out to a point where there's not much you can do with it. Again, I'm open to possibilities, and I'm open to, again, if this movie is decent, I'll be the first one to say, wow. But I just don't see how they can do anything that really is fresh enough. You don't want to just be a carbon copy. When you look at a movie like Scream, we just got Scream 6. That's a lane that you can drive in. It's a much wider lane because you can play around with the mythology. You have a killer who's a human. You don't know who the killer is, so it's a whodunit, right? So you can always have fresh takes with a whodunit. Same thing with other movies like a Halloween or Hellraiser. You can play around with that mythology. You've got characters, you've got timelines and requels and all that type of stuff. A lot of those ideas usually work out okay. Some don't, but it is what it is. But again, with The Exorcist, it was a movie that was created at a time when this whole concept was just brand new, and now that concept has been played into the ground. And so in other words, the fear of that movie was seeing that transformation. We've seen that transformation so many times, so now there's no fear in that. So what else are you gonna do? So anyways, guys, this is really interesting to me to see how this is all going to develop. This is going to be the type of topic that I'm going to not only follow closely because of my love for the original Exorcist, and also The Exorcist 3, by the way. I want to make sure you guys understand. Check out The Exorcist 3 if you haven't seen it.
You're goddamn right.
I'm just really, really interested to see where this is all going to go, especially with the fact that this test screening did not do well And again, that happens to movies, so that's not necessarily something that's different. But again, with a film that's trying to follow in the footsteps of a legendary masterpiece like The Exorcist, from day one, they were up against it. You know what I mean? So, anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Does this test screening surprise you? Is it what you expected? What are you expecting from The Exorcist Believer? Are you going to go see it come this October? Again, it'll be Halloween month. You'd want to go see a great movie during that time period. And when you hear The Exorcist, it's like, oh, that sounds like it's going to be great. But anyways, are you going to go see it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget the like button because it helps to support the channel, and I appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to the Night Watch Zone, do it now. This is the time to do it. We're going to follow this and all other great, interesting news topics. So anyways, I'll catch you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.